Hello again and thanks for joining. So today we've got another Piko model to have a look at. It's quite a vintage model, I think, this one, and it does look quite impressive. It's a 210 two-wheel configuration tank engine, and I think it's from Deutsche Reichsbahn. It is quite an old model, this one, and you can see that the box has taken a few bashes and it has some creases here as well. It doesn't have a part number on this. I'll have to look it up. I can see looking through the window that we might have a bit of a problem here. It looks like a part has come off, so we might have to do a repair once we open up this box. So without further ado, let's see what we've got inside. So incredibly, inside this box we actually have some paperwork. This is one of the things here. I'm not actually quite sure what this is saying. It's possibly some kind of guarantee, but it's in German and I can't read German, so that's not so good. But what I can see down here is it has 88, which makes me think that possibly this was made in 1988. And on the back of the leaflet we have a stamp here. This could be the model shop from where this was bought. I don't know where this is, but obviously it's in Germany. And it has a date here of 23rd of August 88. So I'm guessing this is when this model was purchased. We also have this piece of paper as well, which is starting to age a little bit. And I think this is just all different model shops where you can get Piko stuff in Germany. And it has up here the date November 1986. So that's quite a nice piece to have, and also very interesting that it's still in the box as well. And then we have this piece of paper which is looking very worse for wear. It looks like a really bad photocopy, and it seems to have some instructions about the model. But again, it's all in German, so I don't know what this is. There's another date down here which says 1987. So here is the impressive model inside its polystyrene tray. The tray is quite a lot smaller than the cardboard box, so there's a lot of space there which is wasted. Let's see if we can get this out, and we do indeed have a little bit of a problem here, so I'm going to have to fix that on this video as well. So let's get this out without breaking anything else. And finally here we still have the packing slip as well in German, which is quite interesting too. So straight away out the packaging, this model really impresses with the amount of little extra parts that have been added on. We do indeed have a little bit of damage here, so let's see if we can fix this first. So it looks as though this part attaches onto this part here. And when I look at this part on the other side of the locomotive, you can see that it has been glued on there as well at some point in the past by the previous owner. So this is obviously a point which breaks on these models, which is a real shame. Let's see if we can glue the other one back on. So to fix this, I'm going to use some super glue just to put it back together, and I'm going to have to be really careful with this because I could really mess it up. As usual, I'm going to put some of this on a piece of paper and then apply it from there. While I'm doing this, I'd just like to mention that I have a range of train spotting and model railway books on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description below. Any purchase you make really helps this channel, so thanks very much. Okay, hopefully that fixed that problem. So now we're going to have a look at the model itself up close. So one thing that really impresses on this model is the amount of extra parts that have been added on and the amount of detail that we have here. This one has been fitted with a knuckle coupler at the front. Now, I've had a few models just recently which have had this fitted, so I guess they've all come from the same owner who's decided to put knuckle couplings on them. That's fair enough. It's quite a nice coupling, but it's more usual on American stuff than European stuff. Here at the front of the locomotive, you've got some really nice lamps here and a lot of detail on the smoke box door, which including this circular handle here, which is an extra part that's been added on. And we've got the number here, 950028-1. It has a white surround at the bottom. I'm not sure if that's prototypical or probably a limitation on the moulding or the printing or something like that. It doesn't look quite spot on, but it's okay, I suppose. Here on the buffer beam, we have these buffers with the nice white circles on them. They're not sprung, but they're quite nicely presented. Then inside of the boiler, you've got loads of pipes. Some of these are extra parts that have been added on, and again, they look as though they've been broken and glued back on at some point in the past. We have a transfer here, which looks a bit blurry actually. I think it's meant to be for overhead electric wires, but it does look a bit blurry on this model. And then as we move further down to the cab area, you can see straight away that we've got the motor inside the cab there. So that's a bit of a disappointment. We've got no cab crew or interior detail there. There's also these additional handrails that have been added in, and also down the side of the door there as well. Lots of fragile parts which can be broken off easily. And finally at the end, just above here, we've got a ladder, which is again a separate part, and another ladder coming down the back here. Here we can see Deutsche Reichsbahn printed onto the model, as well as the running number again and some other details printed in white onto this model. Looking up at the top, you can see a bit of a moulding mark running the length of the boiler here, but it's not too bad at all. And it's certainly overwhelmed by all the other details and extra parts that have been added on, including this vent on top of the cab. There's also rivet detail and other small parts moulded in, and a little hatch here right on the end with some really nice detail as well. At the back of this locomotive, we've got these yellow flashes again, this time behind these ladders, and we've got these lamps as well. I'm not sure if these light up or not. We'll give this locomotive a run in a little while and we'll check out whether they work or not. does look as though something's fallen off the top of this tender just here, maybe an extra part that's missing. And as we look down this side of the locomotive, there's evidence that's possibly had some bits that have broken and been glued back on in the past. So these parts are obviously very easily broken. But it's quite incredible that there's so much extra parts added in to this model. And even the detail on the main moulding is really good as well. And even down here, we've got even more parts added on. And then as we start to look down into the red area, you can see that there's some spring detail moulded into the chassis there, along with some rivet detail. And then we've got these pistons with a really nicely moulded part here. And then you have the valve gear, which is really quite incredible. A lot of moving parts here, all really nicely detailed and presented, including the brake blocks as well, which are in line with the treads. And you can also see just under the black there that there's these red tanks as well. And at the back here on this final truck, there's even more detail moulded in here, including the springs and some more rivet detail as well. So it's quite a detailed model, lots of great things to enjoy in this. And also while we're down here, you can see that the chassis actually articulates as well to help this get round tight corners. It'll need to do that. This is a very long tank engine, and if it was just a solid piece, then I don't think it would negotiate that many curves. We'll give it a try on our test track in a moment. You can see that the centre wheels have got traction tyres on them and the other ones do not, but it looks as though it picks up from all these wheels, including the pony truck at the back and also the one at the front. Anyway, let's see how this runs just straight out of the box. I'll put it on the test track and we'll give it a go. Okay, we're on the test track. Let's give it some power and see what happens. Well, it took a bit of a push to get going, and I didn't think it was going to go at the start, but once it did actually get going, it was fine, and then there was no problems at all. We even got the lights working as well. Those little lamps on the front and the back looked really quite cool, I thought. It was a little bit noisy, and that's kind of indicative of a lot of Piko models of this age. I don't know what the motor was, or maybe it was the gearbox, and this seems to be common with that, and it is a little bit noisy when it's running, but it wasn't too bad at all, and it looks quite impressive when it gets going as well. All that valve gear moving is really quite special, and I'm also very happy that my fixes also work, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, let's put this on the scales and see how much it weighs. So this tank engine weighs 307 grams. So this German tank engine from Piko really does look quite impressive. It was made in the 80s, and yet the amount of detail that's been added onto this model is really quite impressive. All the valve gear and all the extra pipeworks as well, extra parts that have been fitted on. It looks really cool, but obviously it's very delicate and is prone to breaking, as we've seen. I did think that possibly the 210-2 layout of the tank engine would cause problems going around the curves, but Piko seems to have managed to solve that. It didn't have any problems even on that ropey Hornby track that I've got. Those are radius 3 curves though. I think anything tighter than that, it might have some problems. It seems like quite a solid motor that's in this, and the gearing is really good because it doesn't go flying around. It just moves at a prototypical speed, and I think it will have a lot of pulling power as well because it's a very heavy locomotive. So should you consider buying this model? I think this would make a really interesting addition to your layout. It's such a characterful tank engine and looks so impressive and imposing as well. Obviously, handling this is going to be quite difficult, and you're going to have to consider that if you don't have a permanent layout and you can leave this on the layout. So if this is indicative of Piko models in the 1980s, then I think you should really check them out because they're really nice, they look really impressive, they seem to continue to perform even to this day, and it has detail which will rival even modern models as well. So there's a lot on offer here, and I think if the price is right, I think you should definitely get this model or similar models from Piko of this era. Let me know what you thought about my analysis in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. And also, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps this channel grow. I'll put this on the turntable so you can see all the way around. In the meantime though, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See ya!